Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kara, but I like to go by Cash. And I'll be telling you guys my birth story of how I gave birth to my daughter at home, which is very crazy. But I'm gonna try not to say people names in the story time. But of course, those that were involved, of course, they all know each other. So, okay, just a little backstory before we get into the story time. So, my due date was originally April 8th, 2024. But when I went to my anatomy scan, it said April 6th, 2024. So I was already iffy, like, we kind of got like two different dates. But of course, I know it's just an estimate. And then, like, I was entering maybe my second trimester, and I was already big. I couldn't even hide it. So I was asking people that I knew already had kids. I was like, hey, with your first baby, like, when did you start actually showing? And they were like, girl, I didn't show till like the end of my pregnancy. And I'm like, why am I walking around? They like a big watermelon. But crazy, I showed very early. Like, I found out I was pregnant in July 29th. I found out I was pregnant. By end of September, beginning of October, I was already big. I might do a story time on how I found out I was pregnant, so let me know if y'all want that. But okay, so one of my appointments I was 34 weeks, and my doctor, she was like, oh yeah, you're 34 weeks, but you're measuring 37 weeks. And then she was like, the baby is out of room, but she's gonna make it until April 8th. And I'm looking at this woman like, if you out of room, you gonna stay somewhere where you're not comfortable? Like, you really think my baby gonna stay in there that long? And I'm like, nah, that's not gonna happen. So I already kind of sensed, okay, this girl is coming early. And I was not prepared for my baby to come this early. Like, I was trying to plan a maternity shoot, but I kind of feel like my baby came early because when I was pregnant, I was under a lot of like stress and depressed and everything. Like, I stayed locked up in a room. I didn't really eat like solid foods. I would eat like snacks just so I didn't have to come out the room, just based off like my living environment. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of over it type. But that happened. I was like, okay, I didn't exercise none of my pregnancy. I went home, do my normal routine, take me a little bubble bath with my Epsom salt. You know, I drank my nighttime tea because that's the only way I can go to bed. And then I grease my body up, get in bed, go to sleep. I get up, go to work. That's my routine every day. But on, when was it? March 8th, I lost my mucus plug. But this being my first pregnancy, I was like, okay, I know this is abnormal. So I was texting my mom, my sister, because this is like her first grandchild, my sister's first niece. So anything, new that happened, I would text them, send them pictures of my belly every week. And I was like, hey guys, what do this look like to y'all? I was like, I Googled it and it said it's my mucus plug, but I'm not too sure. So my sister was sending it to her best friend. Her best friend was like, yeah, that baby coming. My mom was like, girl, you know how long ago it's been since I had kids? I don't remember all this. And then my roommate at the time, we're just gonna call her Mama too. And of course, my mom is my mom, my sister's sister. Okay, so I text her. I was like, hey, Mama too, what this look like to you? And she's like, that's your mucus plug. She was like, are you in any pain? And I was like, no, I feel normal. I feel fine. I'm just gonna go back to sleep. So she was like, if you start hurting, let me know. And at this time, she went back home. She was in North Carolina, but she was gonna come back home Sunday. So the whole weekend, she texted me, she checked on me, and I was just like, I'm fine. Doing what I always do is sleep, eat, sleep, eat. So then I ended up having another doctor's appointment, and I told my doctor, and it was like, oh, but the baby's still fine. Like, she's head down. She's in the perfect position. We want you to go get these labs done. And I was just like, okay, cool. So that happened. So then went back home the night before I gave birth, like the 13th. Mama too, she was like, let's just like do some of these stretches because we know she's not gonna wait, but so you can have like a somewhat easy labor, let's just do a few of these like stretches. So I was doing stretches wrong because I really didn't want to do it. I was cheating. So she was like, do it right. I was like, I really don't want to stretch. But we did two positions. And then took my shower, went on my bath, breezed down, got into bed. But I noticed like I couldn't really sleep that night. Like I tossed and turned. I couldn't get comfortable. So at 12:03, I had went and used the bathroom, wiped whatever. I noticed I was like, this discharge, kind of different. But I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think I was in labor. So, wipe, flush the toilet, wash my hands. I try to go back to sleep because I'm like, I got to get up at 5. So, when it's time for me to get up for work, I sit up on the side of the bed. And it was like, I just feel something like, and I'm like, girl, is that you? So then when I stood up, I heard like this big gush of water. I was like, please don't tell me my water just broke. So I'm scooting my feet across the carpet trying to go to the bathroom. Because I'm like, I don't want to lift my feet up, and stuff started coming out real fast. So I scoot my feet, I go to the bathroom, and I notice it's this white looking liquid going down my thigh, and I'm like, what's going on here? So okay, I was like, okay, maybe just use the bathroom, then get in the shower, freshen up, because I had to go take my exam that day, and so did Mama too. So she was already gone. So once I got out the shower, got dressed and everything, I called her because I was heading to go take my exam. And I was like, I think my water just broke. I was like, it was like this white looking liquid going down my leg. She was like, are you starting to cramp? And I was like, yeah. So she was like, okay, you're in labor. She was like, she's coming. So she was timing them. She was like, they're a minute apart. If you need to go to the hospital before, we see each other again, or before I can get to you, go. And I'm like, hospital? Who finna go to the hospital by themselves? I was like, for one, I'm terrified of hospitals. For two, I was like, yeah, people go in the hospital already in labor, but they can still be there for like 3 days. And I don't want to be in no hospital bed, can't do what I want to do, can't move around how I want to move around, and people getting on my nerves. I was like, I'm just going to wait it out. So I made it all the way to the train tracks, trying to go take my exam. She had to get off the phone because she had to go in already. So I called my mom back in Texas. So it was like 5:45-ish in Virginia, but in Texas it was 4:45. So I called my mom and woke up. I was like, yeah, Mom, I think I'm in labor. Like, I'm having contractions. She was like, where are you? She was like, go to the hospital. I'm like, the hospital I'm supposed to go to is 30 minutes away, and I'm not going to drive on no freeway and then get a contraction. I was like, but I was heading to go take my exam because I need this extra money. And I was like, but I'm going to go back to the house, and wait it out and see. So I texted my chief and told her, I'm not going to be able to take my exam. I'm in labor, and they're already a minute apart. So I turned around, drove back to the house. Now, the way I parked, I had to walk across the parking lot. So I'm waddling across the parking lot, trying not to have a contraction in the parking lot. Open the door, go up the stairs, but in the midst of me getting up the stairs, I have a contraction. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm trying not to scream because I'm trying not to wake up her brother and his baby mama and her daughter. So I'm like, okay, hold it in. So once it passed, I got all the way up the stairs. I went straight to her room because in her room she had her own bathroom, and I knew wasn't nobody gonna come back there bothering me. So I went back there. I ran me some bath water. I stripped. I got in that warm water, and I was just like this. I stayed in that water until it got cold. Luckily, I already had like my bath towel and stuff in her room. Because once that water got cold, I just stood up, took me, quick little shower, freshen up. I put me on my Tupac t-shirt. I put on the things you need to. Not too much information. And I got her bed. And so my mom had her Alexa playing Rain. And she was like, you have to breathe. You have to breathe. I'm like, I am breathing. She's like, you're not breathing. But at that point, I'm like, my body is pushing for me. It's nothing I can really do. Like, every time I get a contraction, my body's automatically pushing regardless of if I'm trying or not. And my boyfriend, he had texted me. He was on the underway. And he also had to get up, take his exam. I was like, yeah, I'm in labor. Like, I think she gonna come today. He was like, go to the hospital. I'm like, what is it with everybody telling me to go to the hospital? I'm not going. He was like, I just want to make sure that both of y'all are safe. I said, we're fine. We're at the house right now. We're going to wait until Mama 2 gets back. That way I feel more comfortable having someone go with me. Not knowing that my chief was coming to my house. And he was like, do you want me to take you to the hospital? I was like, I'm fine. I didn't want to go with him. I was like, I'm fine. He was like, okay, but I'm just letting you know that baby is coming today. I was like, I know, but by that time, it was already like 9 something. So, okay. I got disconnected with my mama. Yes, my mama was on the phone with me. I got disconnected with her after she done woke up everybody in the house. And Mama 2 mom ended up FaceTiming me. And my mom ended up FaceTiming Mama 2 to see how far she was. So, she was heading back to the house, but she was speeding. So my mom was trying to keep her calm, so that she didn't get pulled over. She didn't have no accident. So she was trying to keep her nerves calm. And her mom was trying to talk to me through, like, the labor. So I was in the bed, and I was like, yeah, I'm finna get up because I feel like I have to poop again. TMI, but yeah. And so she was like, did you go tell, your uncle that you're in labor? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure he knows at this point, like, if the chieftain came and he came back here and saw me, he knows I'm in labor. So I slide out Mama 2 bed because it was up high. So I slid down and I got a contraction. So I just stretched out on the floor and laid there like this. And so I could hear Mama 2 mom. She was like, call your brother and tell him his niece is in labor. But she's trying to get to me and she can't. She's having a contraction. Tell him to get up. And I'm like, this is not helping. And they were coming like this. So at that point, I started screaming because they was coming too fast. And I'm like, oh my God, this hurts. So finally, once they were over, I got up. I walked to the bathroom. Sat on the toilet. I was like, okay. Whew. I was like, now I can poop. So all I felt, someone's just like, TMI, but someone's just like, feel what's going on down there. And I didn't feel nothing but my baby's head. So I was like, her head is already out. And she was like, oh my God. And as soon as I said that, Mama Two came running in the house. I didn't even know that she didn't have on shoes. She came running out. She was like, call 911. She was like, the baby's hands out. She was like, wait, don't push. She ran, she grabbed the sheet, she came back. Now, mind you, my mom is on FaceTime on her phone. Her mom is on FaceTime on my phone. But I didn't put my phone down on the counter like this because I'm like, at this point, I'm pushing. And so she was like, the EMTs, they were like, trying to get her out of the toilet. I'm pushing. And so all I heard was Mama Two say, and my mom, she was like, don't stomp on my grandbaby. Hold it in. And so I'm pushing. And she was like, if you need to hold me and push, do that. I was like, I'm glad you said that shit. So I wrapped around her and I pushed. But it's like I got the head all the way out, but it's like her shoulders. Every time I stopped pushing, they went back in. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a struggle right here. So I'm pushing as hard as I can to the point to where I just started screaming at her ear. And my mom was like, the baby's here. And my sister was like, there wasn't no baby. That was Kiki screaming. So I pushed. Finally, my baby's whole body came out. I was like, whew. So Mama Two had the baby like this. And I actually have a picture of my daughter, like, when she came out. So EMTs was like, get her to cry. She wouldn't cry, but she was alert. So she was looking around. And my mom, of course, everybody on FaceTime, let me see the baby, let me see the baby, let me see the baby, let me see the baby. I'm like, we got so much going on right now. Like, pump the brakes, give us a moment. So EMTs came, they cut the umbilical cord, and they took my baby right out. So then they tried to get me to pass my placenta, but I couldn't. So they ended up putting me in this chair because they were going to put me on a stretcher, and I was going to go out my baby. But on the way out the door, while my so-called uncle and his baby mama and the child is sitting in the car, I'm like, y'all went and sat in the car while I was giving birth? Really? So Mama Two trying to hurry up and gather stuff because I didn't have a lot of stuff for my baby, honestly, besides the diaper bag and the few outfits that my chief had bought her. I didn't have nothing for my baby. And I was just going to go get her some stuff like the weekend. So Mama Two trying to gather stuff real quick. I had a backpack already in my trunk of my car, but I didn't know that she was going to take her car and not mine. So she following behind the ambulance. Come to find out, it was a hospital 15 minutes up the street from us, and I never knew it. So we get there. I don't know if they poked the bottom of my baby foot or what, but she went to holler, and they were like, well, she has some good lungs. And I'm looking at them like, you don't say. So then they got me up to a labor room so they can get the placenta out. Of course, I was unmedicated, unexperienced. First kid, I was just pushing. And so I got stitched up. Mama Two was up there. She took pictures of the baby. My daughter was 6 pounds 1 ounce and 23.4 inches. So then after that, we went to the delivery room. Oh, nice and cozy. So we went, she pushed the baby, they pushed me in the wheelchair, we got comfortable, and that was that. Of course, like, once we got settled in, I sent everybody pictures of the baby, and everybody had the same exact thing to say. I just talked to you last night. I just got a belly picture. Were you in labor? And I was like, no, I was not in labor. Like, every Monday, I made another week. I was like, I had just made 36 weeks that Monday and went to my appointment. That Thursday, I had my daughter. So I was like 36 weeks and 3 days. I had her like that. Mind you, I never exercised my whole pregnancy. I only did 2 stretches the night before, which was the 13th. But I had already lost my mucus plug on the 8th. So it was a pretty quick process for my first time giving birth. If I figure out how to insert pictures, I will definitely do that for you guys. But let me know what y'all want the next video to be. Do y'all want to know how I found out I was pregnant? How I met Mama 2? I really don't know.